Aloha. You're watching Ericsson Enterprise Wireless Demo Series, where we get hands-on how-to from the Ericsson experts. We used to have modem banks to sync up our Lotus notes in the 90s. Then we graduated to configuring IPsec concentrators and clients to the ubiquitous SSL VPNs. Secure remote access to sensitive corporate data continues to evolve, and today's solutions are based in a zero trust framework. And who better to talk about our zero trust network solutions than our lead product manager, I should say, for security, and one of my 10 favorite people within the Ericsson organization, Daniel Scarberry. How's it going, Daniel?
Pretty good, pretty good. I made the top 10. That's pretty good. Probably 10 out of 10.
10 out of 10. I'd probably put you in the top 7, maybe even top 5, just because, you know, you've been on the show several times and you got this nice halo from the sun coming down on you there in your screen.
That's planned, always planned on this virtual background.
That's right. A virtual real background. So today we're going to talk about ZTNA. Let us count the ways. So secure remote access with client and clientless ZTNA. So you want to quickly walk us through the various ways you're going to show, Daniel?
Yeah. So there's 4 major ways of connectivity within NetCloud Exchange. The first, we'll start from the left to the right side on this slide. And the first is branch connectivity. Think of your VPN replacement for dumb devices, OT, IoT. There's no user to authenticate. So how do we provide them access to corporate resources? We give site-based access. That's one method. And we'll demonstrate that here shortly. But as you graduate up the zero trust cycle into identity, which is a key concept here, we look at something like a remote access user behind that same branch. So behind a Create a Point router, we can now add the identity of the user and then provide them remote access to the corporate resource. Now we can continue to graduate that and say, look, what about my remote worker? So your enterprise hybrid remote worker, they've left the branch. Now, how do we trust them? Do we use device posture? How do we understand if antivirus is running on their assets? How do we get that access securely to the corporate resource? And then finally, our 4th method is how do we take the untrusted third party and provide them access? And that might be the most difficult and yet most critical connectivity to provide. And we'll get that one at the very end.
To the demo. Oh, look at that. I got the whole thing going.
I was going to give it a fancy term, but I forgot what it was. All right. You want to see how they're done now?
Do it.
Let's go. All right. So here we are with Sally's Tiki Terrace. She's a entrepreneur on the restaurant side, has taken all of these great atolls and put tiki restaurants on them. We need to bring them online. First piece of that puzzle is VPN replacement with site-to-site based access. So if we look at that far left side, if you remember from the slide deck, we don't have a user's identity yet. But what we do know is Secure Shell Shores is one of her restaurants. That's a really tough one to say. Secure Shell Shores. Sally's Tiki Terrace, Secure Shell Shores is one of those sites, and she needs access to the MyTime machine. Fantastic. The MyTime backend is there. We can provide that access. But if we look at this from a security standpoint, we can add some IDS and IPS, but we really don't have identity yet. But this provides that basic connectivity behind a branch site. What does that look like? Well, we can go directly to the resource here, and we can go ahead and clean the MyTime machine. I did no authentication. I'm just a device connected behind that branch location, and I'm connecting to the remote corporate resource. Pretty straightforward. I wouldn't consider this a strong zero trust implementation, but walk, crawl, run. We're just walking our way there, right? Let's graduate this now. Now we could take the same use case. And in this case, I actually have to create a different rule because I don't want to use site-based access. I want to start to tighten this up. And I really want to focus on 3 ways to ZTNA here. First way here is let's just add some user identity to that same session we just did. So what we can say is we're only going to allow Daniel at Indimu access. So we use that SAML attribute. We go for the same target resource, the MyTime machine. I'm going to go ahead and save this access. What this looks like now is instead of providing the big MyTime machine and everything else at that site access, what we can do So we can go to the portal and say, I want to capture this user's identity. So now we put in the network for the Tiki Terrace. That now forwards us to our identity provider that's integrated into NetCloud Exchange. And now I can log in as that Daniel Demu access, forward that user to MFA, right? It's taking all of my identity precautions and security tools. And so let me go ahead and authenticate here.
That's nice being able to incorporate MFA. Critically important these days, for sure.
If you spent all that time configuring MFA and security tools for the rest of your corporate network, why not continue to extend that all the way out to your service edge? And that's really what we're doing here. So now we know who the user is. He's authenticated. He's provided MFA. Well, now he gets that same access. So I'll go ahead and refresh this screen. Now he's getting the access, but instead of site-based access, what we can do, we can go ahead and trash that site-to-site rule now, dump that rule, and now we're going to hit the name-based resource rule. And now he's cleaning the MyTime machine with user identity. So now we're tightening that rule one lever at a time. So just walking that mature model into zero trust.
Right.
MyTime mixer is ready.
And then obviously anything else that that particular user does will be included in the logs because we've identified him and his machine and all that kind of stuff.
Absolutely. So instead of just having network layer information, such as this IP talk to this IP, now we have user talk to application now that we've got the identity and they're going after this MyTime machine. So Peter, let's keep going. I've got 2 more ways to go. So I said 3 ways. So that was one of the ways. But for this one, I'm going to have to change networks because right now I took a user that was behind a branch location, added his user identity. But now I'm going to move off the network. I'm going to move to that third use case, which was remote worker. Remote worker now needs access to the MyTime machine. So let me go ahead and change my network off to an untrusted network. So now I'm on an untrusted network. Maybe I'm in a coffee shop. Maybe I'm in my backyard. Maybe I'm at a friend's house. Wherever I'm at, maybe I'm at a conference. I can say I'm still on a corporate asset. And that corporate asset in this case is an Ericsson laptop. It's met the device posture. It's done all the other great things to make it a trusted machine. So it's pretty easy to install software on this machine and consider it trusted. So now I put that same network, the Tiki Terrace, in as my network identifier I'm going to log into. That's going to forward me where? The same corporate identity provider that we already integrated into our NetCloud Exchange. And I'm going to log in as that same user. Do my same piece of the puzzle here.
Yeah, and then this second MFA challenge, clearly you're coming from a different network, so it's got to redo the full re-authentication this time.
Correct. Yeah, and I'm doing full mimic of an entire user session moving over. I'm not caching anything. I'm starting over fresh each time I do this. So now that my client is going to go into connect mode, so now we can see it's connected. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to that session. I'm going to refresh that session. And again, now I have access to that MyTime machine sanitizer, cleaning it, but from an untrusted network now. So now it's full remote access, not behind a branch from any network. So in this case, enterprise hybrid remote worker, we've got a lot of security tools on this machine. It's pretty easy for us to deploy new software, to put an agent here, to put a client here. But there is a segment of remote access that's very difficult to secure, and that's untrusted third parties. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and drop off the network. I'm going to provide our final method of connectivity with the same rule, that third way to ZTNA for clientless remote access. So the user Daniel Demu, now he's an untrusted third party, or maybe he's coming from a BYOD asset, or maybe he's going after an asset that is extremely secure and sensitive in the OT world. What we can do now is provide him a fully isolated remote access session through a link. In this case, I've embedded that link in his Okta account. And it's my tie cleaner. So now when he clicks this link, we're not on any trusted networks. We have no client software installed, fully clientless. It's now going to open an isolated session to that remote corporate application. And in this case, we'll see that loading here. And now we have the MyTime machine for our untrusted third party. So there's your 4 ways of solving the use case of remote connectivity, and 3 major ways to ZTNA.
And so with this untrusted, so the clientless access from these untrusted machines, what kind of controls do we have in ensuring that they only kind of access and do what they what we want them to do.
Yeah, when you define your applications in Zero Trust, the key is you define applications. You don't identify IP addresses, right? So we say this is an HTTP my time machine. We are going to allow XYZ functionality on that application. You'll start to see this in things like RDP to say, are we going to allow people to upload files? Should we allow our untrusted third party to upload data to that RDP session? Maybe their job is to upgrade firmware. Then the answer would be yes. But then you could start to implement the criteria. Who can do firmware updates? Who can do upload? You can start to add in things like content disarm and reconstruction. All of these tools that we already have in NetCloud Exchange in our toolbox, such as CDR and isolation, you start to be able to apply those DLP to these remote access sessions for your untrusted third parties. And that's what you'll start to see come out over time in this clientless remote access for untrusted third parties.
Yeah, right. But this was just, this is one of the things I think is cool about this is you were able to allow access from 3 different modes with a single policy.
We took the simple approach here. Absolutely. It was 1 rule, 3 ways to ZTNA. I didn't force no screen changes, no identity changes, no password updates, no different identity provider. It was simple, straightforward, 1 rule to do it all. Now, could we have broken this up into different access methods based on the rule type? Yes. But simplicity being king, and we want to be quick about this demo, we just did it in a single rule.
Sweet. Really cool stuff, Daniel.
I try to bring you the best to stay in the top 10.
Oh, you're definitely in the top 10 because you know what? Just want to share this with our fans. Just a couple months ago, we were fortunate to be together at an event. So try to capture those special moments with my pals. Really appreciate your time, Daniel, and the bright sun lighting up your wonderful face.
Oh, yeah.
Great job today. Thanks a lot. And thanks to you for joining. If you'd like to learn more about our NetCloud Exchange or NetCloud SASE ZTNA solutions, obviously you can visit cradlepoint.com. And if you have an engineer, a sysadmin, someone who manages remote access and they're struggling, whether it be just allowing outsiders in or this clientless solution, pass on the video. They may appreciate it. So for my good pal, Daniel, always nice seeing you. You're top 5 today for sure. I'm Peter, and we're with Ericsson. Thanks for watching.